Greetings everybody, every pony everywhere. How in the heck are ya? For some of you who are watching this on a recording, we might be experiencing some technical difficulties at this point. So we're going to have to just sort them out more than anything. Can everyone see and hear me? Alright, it sounds like we have a show, folks. That's perfect. Oh, Mr. Ben. You're too much. Anyway. Several seconds of lag, but okay. As I've... Blah, blah, blah. Why is it always the start is so hard, folks? Anyway, we got a really good show going for us here. I've got a lot of stuff we can talk about, and I'm really hoping to get into, sorry. I am really hoping to get a good show out here. As I have dedicated this one, this is finally the Discord episode that I've been set aside since episode 3. But we have a lot of news, a lot of sad news, unfortunately, but a lot of good news, some good news in there too. I finally got my first fan submission thing, and I couldn't be happier with that. You know, a fan sent me something that he or she wanted me to advertise on their show, on my show. Boy, I'm tired, folks. These 8 o'clock wake-up calls are not doing me any good. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's start with some good news. There's a new episode up. This one is from via Pony Leaks. New episode, Season 2, Episode 19. Here's the link for all you good folks. They have it on EQD, but I like this one off of Pony Leaks because they gave us a little backstory on it. Anyone who caught the, what is it I want to say? There was an article leaked since the 9th of July of last year. They gave us a leak on, the Internet Movie Database, and they accidentally leaked this episode So now it finally comes full circle. Much like, remember the last roundup, and we now have that little DVD, the Friendship Express. Remember how I said that was... wow, I am really out of it today, folks. We had the last roundup on the Friendship Express. Now, we finally have that coming full circle. And now, with this, putting your hoof down, that leak now comes full circle in episode 19. Bada bing. Yes, Rattleman, we are planning on discussing the Derpy debacle. We'll get to that one in a sec. I wanted to start off with some good news for once, not some bad news this time around. The Derpbacle. That's a good one. And, alright, why don't we not waste any more time on Derpy? If anyone has any plans on calling in, don't forget just below the stream, you'll find the call-in center. So, Derpy. As some of you might know, I thought in our last episode that I was hoping a lot of this Derpy debate would die off, that it'd be pretty quiet. You know, it sucks to be both right and wrong some days. What I'm referring to, of course, is there's some rumors, speculation, and actions that have come up concerning Derpy. For one, I can't show you the link to this one because I don't have it, but I can confirm it as I've checked it. For one, iTunes has taken down episode 14. Now, I've heard some rumors being speculated about. I checked in on this. That iTunes, Rattleman, we don't discuss new episodes in this show. Not the immediate new episode. Because some people haven't seen it. But Wait a minute. I see your point there. I see your point. And I agree with you on that one. I really do. That's just it. We've got, I am going to say spoilers here, folks. And when I quote again, that's the end of them. Yeah, we've got this mad barking patient. And then we have Derpy here. What's wrong with this, folks? Really, what's wrong with this? And spoilers. For one, back onto Derpy, like I said, episode 14 was taken down off of iTunes. I checked in on this, and as of, 10 a.m. this morning, my time, it still is. It's 3:15 right now, so as such, don't be surprised that it's still down. And apparently, We Love Fine, the place that sells T-shirts, hoodies, some other apparel and whatnot, they are now, they took the name Derpy off of everything, and they eventually replaced it with Ditzy, then replaced it with nothing, and then they reinstated the name Derpy on it. This is kind of such a weird subject, folks, because it's just rumors. A lot of it is just rumors. So everything I'm giving you, I just want to state that I'm just basing everything off of rumors under this subject. I will give you guys this file here. This file, I guess that's not the right word, but this article. It's a petition to essentially keep the name Derpy to Hasbro. Send a petition to Hasbro, and they will. Boy, I'm really out of it. Just a petition. For the record, I did not sign that petition because I'm not a fan of bringing my name into. I don't like to throw my name out there, not like that. I will say yes. Keep Derpy in, keep Derpy's name, and keep Derpy's voice. But I don't like having to sign my address in particular. Sure, I could just use 123 Fake Street like Marge Simpson, but it's just not my thing. I'll continue to show my support to her in any other way. And what else do we have here? Oh, apparently, though, Derpy and subsequently episode 14 is still on the Hub World website. I don't know if they switched it off now because they, from what I've seen from using that website, they seem to have the current episode and the previous episode, or at least, the new episode and then the old episode. So I wouldn't be surprised if by now it's taken down, but only because that's just their pattern of having the new episode on and then the old episode on. But hey, we'll see. In terms of this whole Derpy debacle, folks, just remember, we have yet to hear of any word from Hasbro itself. So it's hard to say just about anything in terms of... It's hard to say just about anything in terms of what they're going to do, what will be done, and anything about it until they speak. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point during the week someone gets a response from them. But hey, the next week has yet to begin as of this video. And yeah, Mr. Ben, I'm not too terribly worried. If given their track record, if given their current track record, I want to stress that, I wouldn't be surprised if we as the Brony community get a lot of good news. Victor. Anyway, as of now, like I said, I'm hoping that I'm hoping their track record continues of supporting us, and I wouldn't be surprised if what I would really like to see, folks, to be completely honest, is Derpy getting getting put back in a scene somewhere with lines and whatnot. And heck, let's spruce it up even further. Let's make her about as fancy and uncharacteristic of her original appearance as can be. She still looks physically like Derpy, but instead what we get is this really sophisticated, well-spoken of, incredibly manneristic pony who speaks with a sort of, kind of like a Canterlot pony. So it's instead of saying hi, it says both hi to the fans, laugh with her fans, the Brony community, laugh with her as she laughs at all of these idiots who are saying, oh, she's making fun of the mentally challenged. Just a thought. Let's see, what else do we have in the news here? Oh, do you guys remember that those Hewlett-Packard laptop skins I told you about, how they were giving out custom skins on their PCs? Yeah, I know I said, Mr. Ben, that's actually a good idea. Show the episode through Derpy's eyes. I like that. Kind of like a weird Boomhauer. If anyone has seen King of the Hill, the episode where they become volunteer firefighters, they show the scene through Boomhauer's perspective, and everyone sounds just like him, and he speaks normally. It's just weird. I'll get you guys the link maybe after the show or something. But where was I? Oh yes, you guys remember the those HP skins I was telling you about? How I said they HP was selling those? Well, no more than about 2 hours after the show ended, we get an article. Yeah, we get this article saying that they were fakes. Hey, what can I say? I'm just reporting on what I can find, folks. Nothing more. I apologize for I apologize for it if it's wrong, but hey, all I can do is report. And I did want to say that it was fake, just to get it out there and to acknowledge that I was led on false information. Nothing more. Disappointment everywhere. Well, they're customized. You can get it customized, Mr. Ben. So it's still out there. You can still easily get a custom skin. I know. Well, I do know there are services out there that can do it. That's about all I can really say. Let's see. Oh, by the way, the We Heart Ponies Marathon. If anyone recalls their voting on the We Heart Ponies Marathon, we vote for our top 10 favorites as fans and whatnot, and they'll show it on the 11th leading up to Hearts and Hooves Day. Well, let's see. Here's a link to the vote page for everyone. Should be able to still vote. I tried voting today, and I don't think it caught anything. But that could be just my browser. I don't know. The only thing I will say is I was told that today is the last day to vote. But if it's not going through, then there's just the potential of, the obvious, that the voting's closed. But check it out if you still want to vote, since figured I'd throw it out there just in case there was someone who was not aware of it or just wanted to vote for it anyway. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, here's one. speaking of hearts and hooves, based on here's an article from EQD about some screenshots and whatnot from that episode. Feel free to check it out. Again, I'm sure most of you have, but they really are some good shots. I got a link to the games where you can play where they got those screenshots. The screenshots came from a puzzle, and I'll send them to you here in a moment. But in the meantime, what else was it I wanted to talk about? Couple of announcements. Couple of announcements concerning the show here. I got just one that I'll throw out there for now as I get this link going for you guys. Next week, or 2 weeks from now, February 20th, it's shaping up to be, here's the link, shaping up to be that there's a potential there won't be Babble with Bronies that week, or if it is, it will not be that Saturday. I'm going to maybe have to reschedule it or something. At this point, it's up in the air. It's not even confirmed yet, but I'm just going to throw that out there that I like to give a 2-week notice when it comes to announcements like this. So, 2 weeks from now, there's the potential of no Babble with Bronies, but I might reschedule it for an earlier day. I'm not sure when, and I'm not even sure if it'll work out. So just keep that in mind, folks. That's all I'm saying. And what else? Oh, but I do have some good news for everyone, and that was the wrong page. Stupid thing. Right, now there go all my spoilers out the window for time. And then people will just rewatch the recording. That's the one thing I was trying to avoid. Oh well. If people can see my ideas, maybe they'll give me some ideas. So it's a trade-off. Let's see. But I do have some good news concerning this show. I won't spoil this surprise, however. I got a surprise going in store for you guys next week on next week's show. Again, I won't tell you what, and I won't tell you anything. I just will say I've got it. I'm hoping that if I'm absent on the 20th, the 11th, or whenever that weekend is, the 19th then it would be. I'm sorry, folks. 2 weeks from now, if I'm absent, I'm hoping next week will make up for it. I got something really special planned, but it's not 100% yet confirmed, and I cannot and will not say it. But if it goes through, I'm hoping it'll do everyone a lot of good. And you guys, here's the last announcement concerning Babble with Bronies. I kind of just want to get these out here more than anything. What I'm thinking of doing is, you guys know how I tend to announce on Wednesdays? Well, what I'm thinking of doing is Mr. Ben. Yeah, I'd say keep your fingers crossed. It's about 95% confirmed, but it's not 100%. And being a numbers guy, 95% is not 100%. So you'll have to forgive me on that one. Anyway, as I was saying, when it comes to announcing things, I'm thinking of switching that up so that way it stays a little bit fresher in people's memories. What I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to still announce the episode on my website homepage every Wednesday, but on Friday I'll send the announcement into Equestria Daily, where that's where I normally send it in. So in other words, if you want to essentially get a sneak peek of what we're going to do next on the next episode, check in on my website on Wednesdays, and then check EQD on the Friday nightly roundup, or it'd be the Thursday night into Friday night one. It kind of depends on where you live, so bear with me on this, folks. But on that one, that's the one I'm hoping to throw the, for lack of better terms, official announcement in. Just something to think about this way. Like I said, people who see it, maybe it's a little fresher in their mind. And what else do I have? Here's a good one. This one's all in good fun. I know this one's kind of an old one, but it's worth checking out. Apparently, there's this brony subculture analysis. Here's the DeviantArt account. It's on a picture. And I'm sure at one point I'll be getting around to this. This is BwB. I think that's how you pronounce his DeviantArt his avatar name. But check it out. I'm maybe hoping that one day in the foreseeable future, we might do some kind of analysis on this, whether it be the entire episode or just a part of an episode. I'm not 100% sure on this one, folks, but might be worth a check out. But it's a good read because it's pictured. In case you're wondering, I would probably fall under the secret brony area, and that's probably what I would. That is what I would classify myself as. And I'm thinking of reusing this from time to time if I ever need to. So you can refer to this for future reference, and I'll be referring it to future endeavors. Now, if you want to check out the website where this whole thing was sourced, let me find it. Here we go. It's on bronystudy.com. I think it's .com. Yeah, bronystudy.com. Check it out there. They're still running research. You can still take some surveys if you're interested. I was going to, but kind of ran out of time. But I think I'll be doing that sometime after the show. I'll throw my 2 cents in there. This I can support, or this I can get behind more than anything. Anyway, check it out. Have fun. And who knows? I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised in the least if this subculture analysis picture gets revised sometime down the road. So keep your eyes on Brony Pathologist, or I hate to pronounce names wrong, folks. Brony Pathologist. Keep an eye on his website. If for all you with a DeviantArt account, I would do that. That's just me. What else could we talk about? Well, here's some bad news for everybody. Apparently, someone over on DeviantArt again named. Part of the problem is I've got a cut off screen over here, folks. But check it out. Check out this journal entry here. White Dove Creations Journal. Apparently she's saying that she put up a Applejack plushie. She has some really good plushies, folks. If I would recommend looking or watching her if you have a DeviantArt account. It's a good. I'll send you here it is on DeviantArt and DeviantArt EQD here. Here's the original EQD account. I'm sorry for all the windows and whatnot popping up. Anyway, here's the original account, and you've got her official word, from her journal. Check out her journal. It's saying that there's some people. I don't know if they're trolls, and I don't know if they're in the community. Who knows? She says they're in the community, but it's hard to say exactly. Again, kind of rumors and speculation here, folks. I warn you. But apparently, people are going around taking down some plushies with the word MLP, My Little Pony, or if you essentially link it to the show itself specifically. Yeah, Mr. Ben, that's why I'm saying it's rumors and speculation. If you check the journal, it says, she just says the community. So it's a potential they're pseudo-bronies, or they're parasprites, or I don't know. It's vague wording here. So all I can say is if you are selling something on eBay, be careful with how you word it, folks, lest you get it taken down by false claims. Sorry about that. so much to talk about. Yeah, Mr. Ben, you mentioned she can't exactly file a counterclaim. Exactly so. They did say to her, if you read the end of the article, they said to re-upload it. Yeah, this really does fall under a gray area in more ways than one. I mean, she recreated an Applejack plushie that's just awesome. So the plushie itself is hers. But she did take or something that is already copyrighted. Copyright. She did take something that was already copyrighted and made it. And of course she's trying to sell it. So I'm kind of glad that eBay is saying just, re-upload it with some different words to try and avoid a filter. But Mr. Ben, I did acknowledge that it was copyright. Like I said, the plushie itself is hers, but yeah, the notion of it being based on something already copyrighted is copyright. It is a weird area of copyright infringement, or at least it falls under some copyright legal grounds. But yeah, as you're putting here, props to eBay. They did say just re-upload it, different tag, and apparently all is going to be well. But this kind of brings me to another point, people. This whole week, like I said, with the derpy thing and now with this, it's really sounding like we're entering some dark days here, folks. Watch out for what I like to call pseudo bronies. They hide amongst us, but Paris Brights in disguise. They don't, they're not obvious Paris Brights. They're hidden. And I say days specifically. I don't think this is going to last long. At most, maybe a week, 2 at the most. But just, keep that in mind, folks. And I believe in terms of news, that's really about it. Oh, did you guys hear about in episode 15, season 2, episode 15, we've got that Doctor Who's was a reference. I just want to bring this up just because I'm a Doctor Who fan. I know y'all know about it, but it's really worth a good one. All I can say to this is, you wonder why I love this team. Now, moving along here. Mr. Ben, like I said, just check it out. Let's see, what else? Oh, got a fanfic for y'all. Prismatic by one Victor. Mr. Victor, would you care to... I need to get this opened, by the way. Mr. Victor, would you care to share about your fanfic? I've got I got it ready. He sent this to me just a few minutes beforehand, folks. Or about 20 minutes before the show started. So I haven't had a good chance to read it. Hey, Brony Mock, nice of you to join us. All right, we have him online. You are on the air in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I can hear you. Turn it up a little bit. Say, would you...
Sure, just get my... How's that? A bit better?
Yes, excellent.
Oh god, this is weird. I'm hearing myself like 5 seconds behind.
Oops. So, would you care to tell us about your fanfic, Prismatic?
Oh well, doesn't matter. Anyway. Yep, the fanfic. Basically, had this idea floating around in my head for quite a little while. Um, hold on, just gonna. Anyway, I had this idea for this fanfic a while ago, and I just sort of recently decided to start writing it. I've just about finished chapter 1. I do need to go back and change several aspects. Quite a few things, really. I'm just not quite happy with the tone. The basic synopsis is it's another. Technically speaking, it's human in Equestria.
Ooh, I like those. I like those.
But you get the idea. You'll see if you're in anyway. Hold on,
was there?
I'm just going to mute the stream for a second because I'm overlapping myself. Anyway, as I was saying, basic synopsis, it's an adventure fic with a slightly, well, I would say a dark leaning because there's going to be sort of violence and war in a realistic way. I'm going for anything gratuitous or over the top. I'm looking for something tasteful and interesting to read, an exciting adventure more than some sort of gore fic or something.
Okay.
But I think I can do that within the constraints of, a PG or E rating kind of fic.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I enjoy the occasional human in Equestria fic. It's interesting because it's kind of like we're Discord usually. So, we're kind of like Discord. We're there, but in a strange and odd way. I'll check it out. Everyone else?
Well, in a bit more detail, I suppose.
You were going to say something. Carry on.
That time lag. This is insane. Anyway, yes, I was just going to say the human part of it is the character is in Equestria. They're, for the record, we'll say they're human, but they're not actually in the form of a human at the moment. They're sort of stuck as a unicorn. They're not quite sure why, but this becomes clear along with the story. There's also someone that they sort of brought with them, who is very much the antagonist. Is, for intents and purposes, another human, but also isn't. Actually, they're there to do some mean shit, and the protagonist is there to stop them. If not out of a dedication to Equestria, just out of a sense of, oh, I brought this guy here, I really need to do something about it. So I'm hoping that this will sort of lead to an interesting plot, I hope.
Well, you've got me interested already, I'll tell you that much.
Sorry, Mr.
Oh, that's okay. So, everyone else, Prismatic, by Mr. Victor here, check it out. I haven't read it, but he's already got my interest. Check it out. Thank you very much for giving me not only my first anything where I can do something like this, bring you on and you can talk about it, but thank you just in general for appearing on our show.
Not a problem at all. The time was a bit weird. I think that's just because I'm all the way over here in Scotland. Good to be here. Glad to do the first submission. I hope to make it worth your time in the future. Hopefully with a consistently high quality series of chapters.
Quick question. Is it going to be, how long do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be, say epic length or a short novel?
I don't really think it's going to be short, but I'm not sure if I'd call it epic.
Okay.
Still quite a few details about the middle that I have sort of general ideas for, but not really detailed plans. So I suppose I'm just going to keep going until I have the, which I do have a plan for, but just a case of how I get there.
Sounds good. Hey, should I start reading it now that it's still in the incomplete phase and whatnot, and just kind of keep reading each chapter as it goes along, or do you This is going to sound like a silly question, and I apologize. Or, you know what? Never mind. I'll look into it. And I recommend everyone else take a look at it. If you're into this, if you're into humans in Equestria thing, check it out. I'm trying to think of any other last minute questions. Do you have anything to say about it?
Nothing really to say at the moment. I suppose what I'll do is I'll post up a link in the chat there. The way that Film Fiction is, if you have a direct link, you can get to a chapter even before it's been published.
Nice.
I'll probably end up publishing it either later tonight or tomorrow, because I'm still not quite happy with it, but it's not got that much to do to finish it. As I think it was someone said they were tracking it already. If you get yourself a Film Fiction account, you can log in, set it to track, that sort of thing, quite handy. And I won't publish anything before I believe it's complete. So if in future I release something, it's because I think it's fit for reading. Not quite sure that this one is, but I'm showing you just to see if it's something you might enjoy.
And you were asking for comments and critiques beforehand when you submitted it to me. So people, don't be afraid to critique it, but keep it decent. I'll say that. But we'll look into it.
Yep. Any sort of critique is appreciated. If you think there's any way that maybe the tone could be better or sentences could be better constructed, this is the first sort of thing that I sit down and write. So I'm just going to get as many opinions as I can and take them all into account, I think.
Excellent. Got to start somewhere.
Certainly do. So I think that's all you have to say for it. So unless you have any further questions or anything.
Got the length, got the synopsis of what about. I believe I am finished.
All right then. In that case, I'll hop off the channel here. I'm not quite sure if there's a way to do it without refreshing the page, so I guess I'll ask right now.
Yeah, I am not 100% sure. That's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm trying to. I'm gonna say I'll boot you and see if that. Here, let me. Not bad. I'm gonna say this boot in 10. And we'll see if that does anything. Yeah, this is kind of one of those things that I need to iron out myself. And that's what I'm hoping to do next week. So I apologize to everyone that you only get one phone call as opposed to unlimited. We're working on that. All right, booting in 10. Thank you very much for your time.
For science.
And with that, so we have Prismatic. Say it one last time. Check it out, folks. I'm going to rescale this. Oh, perfect. You got that. Or it might be that if when I drop the call, it does that. Like I said, we'll be working on this. We'll get it worked out. We get it next time. All right, let me check the notes. And I got some quick news for everyone. I calculated it out. I went through, and assuming that we have episodes 26, 27, and 28 like they've been kind of announcing with Princess Cadis and Shining Armor. They said that check those 3 episodes, 26, 27, 28. assuming that is the season finale, and assuming that it goes to that many episodes, the very last episode of the season will be May 5th of this year. Yeah, okay, that this year was kind of silly, but that's, of course, assuming no delays, and we straight through, run through everything. Just something to think about. All right. With that, folks, we're on Mr. Ben for the record. That means that it's this is episode 16. Today's episode was episode 16, and so yeah, we've got 11 episodes left. Not including this one. Yeah, about 9 weeks. That's about it. Like I said, it was a quick and rough calculation, so I apologize if it's a little off. But I was fairly certain of it, folks. That yeah, what we've got is May 5th is our last episode, assuming everything lines up. Test it for yourself and come back to me on that one. Just checking the text, any questions there. So, with that, folks, I am done in terms of announcements, news, art, and just about anything else. So, let's get into the meat and bones of this, shall we? So, I'm saying so too often. Discord. What more can you really say about this guy? I got a confession for you guys, folks. How high do you guys rank villain or Discord as a villain on, say, your favorite villains of all time list? Because in my humble opinion, he's really high on my list. He is like number 2. Why? Well, I compiled a quick list here. If you want to see all of my notes on him, I'll send it to you. I'll give you a quick look here. Yeah, all of this text is just notes and bits and pieces that I've compiled about him. Mind you, some of it is just like he's voiced by John Delancey, just for bits and pieces to kind of help me bring up topics on here. But I was thinking, all right, just resize this back. This guy, Victor, I like your idea there. He's voiced by John Delancey, should be in there at least 4 times. Fair enough. I don't think the writers and animators, hey, Mr. Ben, you make that sound like it's a bad thing. That if we get to season 3, we get a new villain and they get, because status quo is God. Well, in my humble opinion, that's kind of how you open a season up. I mean, your main protagonist kicks some flank around. It's good stuff. And there was something I forgot to mention in the last episode, folks. You know how I was cheering the fan base on and saying how awesome we are? Well, if you really get down and think about it, how much of season 2 are we a part of? Or the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is I like to think that us, the Brony community, had a big hand in creating season 2. Not necessarily the episodes of them, but just the existence of the second season was due to our fandom. And because if you take us out, Yeah, do you honestly think that it would go beyond the first season? I don't think so. At best, we would get this two-parter with Discord, and that'd be it. But even that just seems so unlikely. And as I said, what a way to start the season out than with a villain named Discord. As we know, they're really drawing on Greek mythology here, and I love that when they do this. Or Greek or Roman, however you want to put it. Most of their stories are, fairly similar, so it's all good. But we get this chimera that they later call a Draconequus. And to be honest, folks, at first I thought that a little weird. It's a chimera. A chimera. And then we see what he's capable of. The fact that he's a reality warper, the fact that he's nearly omnipotent, the fact that he can do what he does. I like to think that a Draconequus and a chimera are two completely split things. Victor, I like your comment there. Discord is actually Q, got bored and decided to visit Equestria. Since Q and Discord are practically the same character, maybe, just hear me out on this, folks. What if Q warped the world? He warped the world. Mr. Ben, I'll touch on that in a second here. He warped the universe of Star Trek and made it Equestria. But where the cast or the people of Star Trek are, who knows? Maybe they're just hidden in the background somewhere. Maybe they're at Sugar Cube Corner, or maybe they don't even exist at all. Just a thought. And yeah, you say a chimera is mostly a lion. True, Mr. Ben, but the term chimera is for a creature that's essentially a collection of all sorts of body parts. Check out the term chimerism as a medical condition. Kind of get my point on this. You'll see what I mean. Now, yeah, we can kind of run through. I'm trying to avoid an episode recap here, folks. I'm trying to save that for the off season after season 3, or just at any point down the road. We'll see. I can't say, but I am trying to say, let's try and avoid an episode recap, because I want to save that for a future episode. Now, but I will say, yes, we have him here in Celestia's garden. Why in tarnation it's one thing if it's just a statue, but the sole fact that it contains a beast of immeasurable power that could be freed, mind you, it's just for a plot element, but I digress. But you'd think if Celestia wanted to keep an eye on him, you'd put him in, say, some kind of chamber like she did with the Elements of Harmony. It's magically protected, and maybe she could just peer in on him at any one time. Who knows? But this kind of does lead me to my next point here. Is anyone familiar with chaos theory by chance? I know that might be a little bit odd to ask here, but just hear me out on here. The theory of chaos theory, one of the tenets of it is a very, very small, insignificant change into a system will eventually at some point have a huge, huge effect on the system. So essentially take 2 to the nth power versus 2.000001 to the nth power. Eventually, at some point, the greater one is going to be way, way beyond the 2 to the nth power. Or in other words, a very, very small change in a system will balloon out of control. Now here's where I'm trying to turn this around. We know Discord was still imprisoned in stone, but what was it that freed him? A very, very small spark of chaos brought on by the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Now, they had a small scuffle. Sure, they got into a bit of a fight with it, but I digress. But that one little spark, that one almost insignificant spark in an otherwise system of harmony, brought about this explosive change to the system. It freed Discord, and at the end we see that he basically reverses the dynamic. We had once a world of complete harmony, or near complete harmony. Now we have a world of near complete disharmony and just very little harmony. Just a thought. Mr. Ben, you are correct that it's because Celestia and Luna were no longer connected with the elements of harmony. But the point with that, he was still imprisoned. Let's ignore any attempts at continuity here amongst the episodes. But it's just that. It's one thing to fight amongst him if Celestia and Luna were still the bearers of the elements of harmony. And I think that's why she still had it out there in the garden. Or she still had that statue out in the garden. Is because with them still connected, even though Luna was banished, it would still hold. But of course, when the guard changed, now we've got different controllers. And now finally, as I said earlier, we get just a small spark of chaos and explosion. I looked up a little bit on Q from Star Trek, mostly via the Wikipedia page, and I apologize for that, folks. I wanted to catch some episodes on Netflix, but again, I have no time. I have so little time, it's spooky. Sorry, folks. And they said that some of the things that Q can do is he can, quote, stop death, create life. That water went down the wrong tube. I'm sorry, folks. He can create life, manipulate time and space, and control people. So yeah, we know that. I know I'm just beating a dead horse here, pardon the pun, but Discord and Q are practically the same characters. And what I will say is about the only thing that I found different amongst them, though, is that Q would eventually go on to be a savior of humanity. As there's an episode in one of the season finales. And yeah, Mr. Ben, that's the thing, is we're only given so much in terms of what he's capable of doing. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I want to touch on eventually. As I was saying, Q eventually is a helper to them. And I wish I could see the episodes is to see why, but he ends up helping them. I don't get that from Discord. I don't think Discord would at all help anybody but himself. Because I think to help someone other than himself is that it would create harmony, or it would essentially go against his very nature itself. If you're the nature of disharmony and chaos, helping someone, except in the case of to further more chaos and disharmony, is antithetical of your nature. Just something to think about. Or, yeah, if it would be fun, Mr. Victor, I like that. And here's the thing. I kind of want to bring this up amongst people. Some people say that chaotic neutral. Mr. Victor, call me an idiot. Who is that? Is he a comic book villain or a hero or something? Okay. Ah. Okay. From Dungeons and Dragons. Thank you very much. So like I said, back to Discord. There's something I wanted to bring up amongst everyone. People have been. I know there are some people out there who think that because of the kids show, he was essentially restricted as a villain. He could only, he could only manipulate them. He could only play with them. He couldn't kill them. He couldn't even show the potential of killing them. And here's the reason I disagree with that. If you're dead, you can't be tortured. You can't be anything. All that he could do would be pointless, to make you do something, to screw with your emotions, to screw with your head. If you're dead, none of that could happen. None of that could be. And this is why I love Discord so much. The fact that he's so high on my list is because he's not a guy who's going to kill you. He's going to be a guy who's going to do just the opposite. He's going to keep you alive forever. He would even, I think he would go so far as to manipulate time itself to, I'll check in on that in a sec, Victor. I did see some of that stuff floating around the internet every once in a while. But anyway, he would go so far, Discord, as to manipulate time to keep you alive forever so that he could continually flick your head, just like that. Or, of course, his equivalent of. But it's one thing for a villain to kill someone. Heck, it's one thing for them to just kill him over and over again. Minimize some of this. Sorry about all this, folks. But how many villains in the world can you find who would keep you alive to torture you? And not just for information, just because he wants to. And yeah, I think he would go so far as to, if he would kill you, he'd revive you. And you know what the worst part is? He'd go so far as to make you aware of it. He would, he'd kill you, revive you, and you'd be completely aware of not only did you just die, but you've been brought back, and you've been brought back from the dead. This brings me to another point. Something perhaps even scarier than this, folks. I should note, I forgot to mention this earlier in the show. If you're going to make a religious or a political reference, I am fine with that if it serves a point. I want to make that clear. If you're going to make a religious or political reference, it had better be relevant to the topic you're trying to make. The purpose of that rule was to avoid fighting in the chat rooms. No one did. The reason I say that is because I don't want to be a hypocrite. And this is something to think about. We see in the end of the show, towards the end of the second episode, what his world would look like. And fun fact, you know what the scary part about that world is? He could flip that to some infinite other possibility, and it would be just as chaotic as that one. So think about that. That world that he created, or that place, was nothing more than just an infinite possibility of some other chaotic nightmare he could just fathom like that. But my point I'm trying to make is, we all, whether you're atheistic or not, I know everyone's aware of the concept of hell. It's a place of eternal punishment, of eternal pain, nothing but pain. But hell still makes sense, in the sense of You'll be aware of the pain. You'll be aware of it. You know it. You are aware of it. You know it's a place of fire and brimstone, and it's just nothing but eternal torture. Discord's world, on the other hand, is worse, in my humble opinion. I'll tell you why. You might not be aware of the pain. You might not be aware of the torment. You might not be aware of anything. You could be the sole fact that he could make 2 + 2 = fish, or the color red a tangible object. The fact that your consciousness means nothing there. Like I said, assuming that you're conscious in hell, you're not conscious of his world because, and bam, everything you knew is gone. Just wiped out. Just because some guy with all the powers in the world said, I don't like this, I'm going to make it my way. This is why he is a seriously scary, scary villain. This is why he, Emperor Joker, Mr. Ben, I caught a quick glimpse of that. I only saw so much of it, and I only read the Wikipedia article on it, but I am somewhat aware of what you're talking about here. And I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. What makes Discord, in my humble opinion, even worse than, say, Emperor Joker is, I've seen this before where a character gets a reality warper. I'm going to admit a few things here, folks. Anyone who's seen the show Danny Phantom, it was a good show. Don't tell me otherwise, folks. There was one TV special where one of the characters got the reality gauntlet, which is just as it sounds, it can warp reality. The guy's name was Freak Show, by the way. It was a good episode. He recreated the world to his liking. It was essentially a giant circus. Read up on the backstory. I'm not going to explain that. But whenever a character seems to get a reality warper, they always tend to recreate it in their image. They always seem to recreate it to have a certain theme to it. That's what I was looking for. They have a theme to it. With Discord himself being a reality warper, what would his theme be? It would be nothing but chaos. So, what does that look like? What would that be? Yeah, I know I've probably spent a lot of time looking into this. Folks, but I think that's kind of half the mark of a good villain here, is that it's one thing to know everything about them. It's one thing to even say know very little about them. But it's one thing when their abilities, what they are completely capable of, are called into question. We all know that, villains like the Joker and whatnot can go around killing people. They try and cause chaos and disharmony, but they still have to abide by the rules of reality. Discord doesn't. All he has to do is just snap his fingers and everything's gone. And here's the thing. This might be a, hey, Bronimus Prime. Glad you could join us. Where was I? Oh, yes. And here's just another mark of why he's so high on my list. This is still to this day a kid's show, thank God. Yet, and normally villains in kids shows usually have to be tamed to some point. They usually have to be sanitized. They can't kill or anything. And I know I might be reiterating what I've said here, folks, and I apologize, but the sole fact that if we were to take Discord out of the MLP universe and put him in any other show, I don't think he would behave any differently. That is the mark of a good, well thought of villain. The sole fact that doesn't matter where he goes, you ignore all filters of any kind, and he still would behave the very same way. He would still be the same monster that we all know. Yeah, like I said, I know I might have thought too much into this, folks, but that's why I love Discord so much, is because we know what he's capable of, and something new happens. And we don't see too much, we only see just a fraction of his power. We haven't even seen the scratchings of what this guy's capable of. And yet, based on the sole fact that he's nearly omnipotent and a complete reality warper, he just opens a can of worms for not only fanfic, and sure, I doubt he's going to be brought back, but imagine if they brought him back somehow, some way. He just became enraged. He just became completely enraged and just went completely ballistic. And I'm not meaning bring back the chocolate rain and the cotton candy clouds. No, I mean warp it so that the next step you take could become, I don't know, your last one. Because the very notion of thinking would be completely screwed up. This guy, I would hate to see Discord get angry. And because he would just imagine eliminating time and space, and I mean just completely warping it. Not even warping it, just eliminating it. So that you're nothing. Just something to think about. There was a comic a while ago. I forgot where it was. It was on DeviantArt somewhere. I'm sure it's buried deep within the bowels on some group. There was Discord just sitting there, just minding his own business, kind of gloom. Pinkie Pie comes over and says, hi. He's kind of bummed. I forgot what the premise was, but Pinkie Pie in the end said, if you think about it, all of those body parts that he's composed of, the sole fact that everything is different, yet it all works in harmony, means that there must be some order or some harmony to Discord himself. I think that was something like that. It was kind of a weird one. But what I like about this is just that. The sole fact that though he's composed of, he's composed of everything. Parts that should not be together, things that should maybe never be together. And the sole fact that he is composed of everything. And yet all of them work together to create one end. So in a weird way, there is a potential that, there is harmony amongst even the chaotic. And perhaps with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, there is chaotic among the harmonic. Yeah, I'm diving into philosophy here, folks, so forgive me. But this is getting heavy, folks. I'm glad I'm glad you are enjoying the show. I will say that. And as I'm just I like that, Mr. Ben. You can't have chaos without harmony, and you cannot have. It's a dualistic existence. there's a it's a yin yang type of thing. They exist together in harmony and in a circle for infinity. How about his? And I gotta admit, I'm kind of switching gears here a little bit, folks, but I like the personality they gave him too. It's very, he's kind of like poison honey, sweet at first, but at some point it's just going to turn to you falling on the ground, and writhing in pain, as evident when they all go into the maze. They all go into the maze, and after taking away everything, each one is essentially him. Everyone except Fluttershy is essentially, hey, come here, got to show you something. Huh? The impression that what do you mean, perfectly pleasant, Mr. Victor? What do you mean by that? No. I want to hear this. It sounds like it's good stuff. What do you mean exactly by perfectly pleasant? Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, perfectly reasonable person and not one to screw with your head. Yeah, but if he's in the mood, that's the thing. Of course, would he sit down and watch TV with you? Who knows? He'd probably mess with constantly flip the channels or screw with the show itself, so that you couldn't watch the show. He'd just sit there and piss with you. But who knows? But getting back to what I was saying earlier, if Star Trek The Next Generation came out, he'd be happy. They still show it. I've seen it on. And, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Q watching Discord. Watching Q. Watching Discord. Watching Q. Watching Discord. Watching Discord. My mind is, ugh. But there's something to think about. If Discord was watching TV and he watched Q on, a Q episode on Star Trek, would Q then have the potential of watching Discord watching himself with Discord watching himself? Yeah, going on for an infinite loop here. What a mess. What a bloody mess. Ugh. So then what would happen? Anyway, trying to get back onto something. Fourth wall breach. Fourth wall breach. Back onto the subject of his nature. Multiverse collapses on itself. Like I say, he seems to be much more of a... I like the personality they gave him. Not only does it suit kind of his chaotic nature, but what I really, really like about his nature is it just feels like they put some thought into him. Sure, it's just fallback to Q from Star Trek, but he just seems that much more three-dimensional of villain. The fact that, sure, it's not the first villain we've seen with a malicious prankster attitude, but as I've said, it feels more genuine. And the sole fact that he's not going to just kill you right up front. He's going to have some fun before he does that. Kill, metaphorically speaking, of course. And this is like, okay. But, where was I? Oh, yes. The sole fact that he would, as we've seen him with the main six there, he suckered them in with something. Like, he offered AJ the chance to see the future, which I hate to digress here, folks, but why didn't she just use a simple paradox? That would have been funny. So if we can show you the future, the past, or whatever you wish. Okay. What would happen if Pinocchio said, "My nose will grow"? What would happen there? Just a strange thought. But anyway, he brings all of them in, he suckers them in, and he essentially does what a lot of more grapple-style martial arts do. They turn the opponent's best strengths into their weakness. So, like AJ. AJ's probably the best one here. He told her the truth that at some point their friendship would break up. Kind of depends on where you want to put the, for lack of better terms, the video camera to show the footage. But hey, I'm trying to make a point here. You get, she sees the truth, but can't bear it. And of course, as Discord via the apples say, lies are easier to accept. Likewise with Pinkie Pie. Laughter is great, but what happens when they're laughing at you as opposed to with you? And I think my favorite one, though, has to be, and this is, again, just kind of a testament to the kind of monster that he is. He doesn't screw with Twilight at all. He barely even touches her. He barely even touches her. And instead of going the quick route like he did with four of the other five, he just let the foundation of Twilight crumble before her. And yeah, we'll get to Fluttershy in a second here, folks. I know you all want to talk about Fluttershy and Discord, but like I said, there's just something to think about. He didn't screw at all with Twilight. He might have just said, held up and say, "Behold, Simba." But he just let that foundation crumble before her. And in my humble opinion, that's good writing right there. That is some seriously good writing. And yeah, I'll kind of backtracking here. And then there's Fluttershy. I took a look at the story of the Chimera, and it was a man riding a Pegasus that slayed the Chimera. At least according to one account, anyway. So I'm not surprised that, or it's kind of fun to think about because, Fluttershy is a Pegasus. And given the notion that Fluttershy was completely resistant to Discord, that except for his, if he would have gone the route as everyone else, he would not have won at all. So, and this kind of lays testament to kind of his, you could say, a bit of a vice or a weird personality perk, for I guess a lack of a better term. He's spoiled, impatient. If he doesn't get what he wants, he will make it so. And yeah, he just boop, and Fluttershy's gone, or at least becomes Flutter Bitch, as everyone calls her, or Flutter Rye, or she becomes cruel. And yeah, it's and then the point I'm trying to make is here's something else to think about. He didn't have to go through the messing with everyone. He didn't have to show AJ the future. He didn't have to make Pinkie Pie succumb to that laughter. At any one point, he could have just touched them all. He didn't have to go through this game. He could have just touched them all and taken everything down. Sure, that would have led to a shorter episode, but it's a testament to how much he just likes to poke them. He's not going to kill you quickly. He's going to kill you slowly and painfully. Sorry. There's something else to think about. I'm not going to pick images up here, folks, because I don't want to leave the chat. So I apologize. I don't want to take the camera off the chat. That's what I'm trying to say. So I've spoken long enough, folks. Do you guys have any? Do you guys have anything to say about Discord? Any things you want to call in or just write in the text? Yeah, Mr. Victor, I think we can all agree that Discord is indeed awesome. And yeah, that's kind of the fun of him. How do you mean his Discord, that his Discord can be turned against him? Say, I'm gonna. Okay. Okay. Or you to leave and never come back. Oh, okay. I see. I get it. It's kind of a weird paradox, and it's kind of almost paradoxical. But yeah. And this kind of leads me into kind of my next, kind of a bit of a next subject. We all know that, yeah, we know how it ends. He gets blasted by the elements of harmony after all is said and done. One of the things that I liked reading about was that it was his greatest vice that destroyed him, i.e., cue the Star Wars scene. Your faith in your friends is your weakness. Or, I'm sorry, your overconfidence is your weakness. Your faith in your friends is yours. But just like Star Wars, how it ended, My Little Pony ends the same way. Ignore the ending scene where they're going through the castle. No, I'm meaning, of course, just as I say, Discord dies because he thought he destroyed their friendship. That without it, they would be miserable, angry, cruel, greedy, and liars. And with that, his world would be forever. But much like what got him freed, a simple little spark, a simple little act of harmony, or perhaps you could say love, but good memories or whatever you want to say. It was but a spark that essentially became a huge thing that ended him. Celestia sending those letters to Twilight, she realized that spark, that fire of friendship grew and grew and grew until she regained herself. She was undiscorded. And of course, the dominoes just fell into the place there. He thought, here they are with the elements. One wonders how they would all be there if they were discorded and whatnot. But hey, it still makes for a good show. His overconfident nature said they would never work, and he gets blasted. And unlike Nightmare Moon, who just kind of got blown in a tornado, no, he gets the full hammer right on top of him. And here's the thing, I'm glad, I'm with some fans out there who say it's nice that he got turned back to stone. I know I'm kind of episode summarizing here, folks, and I apologize. But here's the thing. Could you imagine what it would be like if he was, if they decided to not turn him back to stone? Well, it would kind of just be weird. It would feel like a cop-out. It really would, in my humble opinion. And yeah, I'm with you on that one, Victor. That could mean he could come back. I doubt it, but it certainly could. Banish him to the sun. And but like I said, his greatest vice, the one that all of the other main six eventually fell to, they fell to their greatest vice, or the opposite of their great virtue. His great vice was his downfall, and unlike the others, he got turned back to stone. And I like, if you notice, his face was happy and cheery in the start, and here when he was turned back to stone, he was completely shocked. There is kind of a bit of a plot hole I could expose here. If he can manipulate time, how wouldn't he know of, how did he not see this coming? Just a thought. How do you discord a black hole, Bronimus Prime? Of course, you could just make it go away, or some other things like that. Who knows? So overall, folks, I think that's about all I really have to say about Discord. I've given you the reasons why I think he is so damn good a villain. And I guess that's all I really have to say. That's why I wanted to talk about him, is because he is something interesting to talk about. Do any of you guys have anything to say? That third step is always a mystery, isn't it, Mr. Ben? All right. Do you guys have anything to say on a general sense? Let me check some notes here. I kind of hate to just keep you guys waiting like this. I apologize, but let's see. Mr. Ben, the problem with Discord is how do you bring him back? Sure, you could rehire John Delancey back on the cast, or ask for his assistance, but okay, Mr. Victor, I'll announce that as an announcement here. What he is telling me is that Victor has said he's decided to turn chapters 1 and 2 into a single chapter. So his fic will be just like that. Oh, you can read the chat? Okay, perfect. Then That's fantastic. Let's see here. What else? I swear there was some little thing. No, I think I am finished, folks. Ooh, Bronimus Prime. I kind of like that idea. What if you put Discord in some alternate universe? You know, like he's saying, the Batman universe. Him and the Joker would get on great. I completely agree with you there, Mr. Victor. Of course, I don't know. Discord kind of strikes me as a backstabber. You know, kind of a, well, Mr. Ben, it'd still be Batman. I mean, Crime in Italy, it's the goddamn Batman we're talking about here. He could get his way out of a black hole. But yeah, I think Discord is more of a backstabber. He works alone. So even though the Joker is, you know, the Joker, I think Discord would I don't think he would team up with him in so much as have the most fun screwing with him. He would just grab him in the palm of his hands and just do this over and over again. And how would you Discord the Joker? You know, discorded. What would the discorded Joker look like? Would he be some upstanding citizen? Or would he... Or you know, what would he be like? Maybe he'd be a dog, like Big Mac. How about, what's some other universe he could be sent to? It's up for debate, folks. Oh Lord, could you imagine the Venom, Carnage, and Deadpool, send him to those universes? That's kind of half the fun with reality warpers. The sky is the limit. Of course, if they do it comedically, then they get the rights to like do a 5-second cameo in some universe, like, whoop, wrong one, beep. So, I believe that's all I really have to say, folks. Otherwise, I'm just stalling for time here, and I really don't like doing that. If you guys have anything to say, now would be the time to say it. Yes, Bronimus Prime, that's pretty much what I was referencing, was Channel Chasers. Okay, Mr. Ben, you have one? Shoot. How do I feel about a possible Discord and Pinky relationship in fandom? Then you get this text. Okay. How do I feel about that? Assuming no Discording. Let's see here. I'll play along here. As I know I've made clear shipping ain't exactly my forte, but I'll play along here. Let's take the Emperor of, or the spirit of all things chaotic and disharmony. Now we pair it with the only pony in the show who, it's a decent question. It's a good one. I like it. The only pony in the show who basically can disobey natural laws at will. Who can just, I can defy physics. I can I can rewind time, or, well, okay, she can't, I haven't seen her do that yet, but the fact that she's as cartoony as she is, I think she's honestly the only potential living thing who can survive in Discord's world. You know, as I described how scary it is, she would be the only one who could survive there because it would be a representation of her. And I know that's not exactly what you're asking here. So to answer that, let me just put it this way. If they got into some sort of relationship, that'd be kind of weird. It's a match made in some black hole somewhere in the Rigelian sector of God knows where. Maybe they'd make humans. Yeah, there's a concept for you. They get into a relationship and actually produce something. The offspring are humans. Because chaos, folks. Because chaos. And I believe I am out. Rattleman, I like that. What would Lyra think about, or what would she think about that? Kind of weird. Certainly be awesome, an awesome concept though. What would Lyra do? And with that, folks, I think that's about all I have to muster. If there is nothing else, then I think that will be the show. I want to once again thank everyone for coming. Thank you especially to Mr. Victor for providing me the little tidbit about your fanfic. Thank everyone else for showing up, even if some of them left. I hope that whoever was here enjoyed the show. And with that, I'm hoping to get a nice surprise for you next week. As I said earlier, there's a potential that 2 weeks from now there won't be a show, so I'll keep you up to date on that. But in the meantime, farewell.